Hello, welcome to our second video. This is the program, a free online vision program for high school students. Welcome you to this class. I hope you have watched our launching video, and I hope you are motivated to take on learning during this COVID-19 period. I also want to remind you to keep safe and to keep praying, because this pandemic is going to an end, and we will soon go back to our normal lives. Thank you. Let's get in. Well, today we are going to look at understanding mathematics, science, and technology. We understand that in our generation, in the 21st century, our lives are driven by technology, and therefore these three topics are very much important in our learning, because they are the ones which surround our lives in a daily basis. And therefore, we need to understand these three topics, and they are very much fundamental in our learning. I want you to get some insights on these three subjects, so that when you go back to school, you'll be able to have a better understanding of the same, and be able to work in order to shape your life in these new emerging technologies.
Let's start with a few definitions here. And what is a problem? In understanding these three subjects, they all work hand in hand to solve some problem, and therefore we need to understand what is a problem in our day-to-day lives or activities. And a problem is simply a need in the society. A need, that's something that is disturbing a society, and which a society is looking for a solution. It can be as small as cutting cables, or as complex as dealing with a tsunami. Yeah, it can be as small as cutting cables, or as complex, or even dealing with hurricanes or earthquakes. They all they are all problems that human beings is facing in their day-to-day lives. Second definition is science. Science is a very important subject, or it's a very broad subject, in this matter. And I will define science as a systematic study of a problem, in order to gather knowledge, in order to be able to gather knowledge surrounding that problem, to try and design a solution. That aspect of process of studying a problem is what we refer to as science. That definition will define mathematics, and according to Wikipedia, mathematics is an abstract science of number, quantity, and space. When you are dealing with mathematics, you all deal with numbers, quantity in terms of weight, size, area, all those quantities, and space. Space, for example, volume, somewhere occupied by something. And according to my own reasoning, I would take mathematics as a study of logic methods. When you are doing those mathematics or calculations, you realize that all this is there. It's like a systematic process. It's a logic method of dealing with a problem. A logic method of dealing with a problem. and you will come to understand later when you get to understand the aspects of, for example, computing, that is, for example, programming, that's like statistics. You understand that all those are logic processes, that bring in, that are some kind of methods of solving problems. And technology is a very important term here. It goes in hand with science and engineering. And technology, the definition of technology is using science, that is a knowledge about a problem, to apply a certain method or a formula, which is basically mathematics, to solve a problem. It is using knowledge about a problem to apply a certain formula or method to solve a problem. And you get to understand that the technology in that perspective, you realize that technology deals with understanding science, and therefore then applying a certain knowledge, a certain method to solve a problem. And that process of solving that problem is called engineering. The process of using science and mathematics to develop technology. That's what we call engineering. And mathematics, science, and technology are inevitable in our quest to realizing African civilization. I will base this discussion in African perspective, because my dream is to inspire the young generation to take charge of our African civilization. Realize that we are far much behind in terms of development, and almost every technology we are using today we are importing. And my desire is to inspire you as young people to develop, to try and think how we can change this perspective, whereby we are not just importers of technology, but creators of technology. And therefore, why is mathematics, science, and technology very much important in African civilization? We need to revolutionize agriculture in our African perspective. Realize that in this 21st century we are still dealing with hunger. We are still dealing with droughts, and therefore we have not been able to produce sustainable food as a society. And therefore agriculture is very mathematics, science, and technology very inevitable in trying to find solutions to create to revolutionize agriculture in order to make sustainable food. And also medicine. Africa, we are still struggling with curable diseases. Children are still dying of tuberculosis, are still dying of cholera, are still dying of small diseases. How can we do as Africa, as a society, to revolutionize, to generate medicine of our own, African-oriented medicine? We are now dealing with COVID-19 pandemic. How can we do? What will we do to generate medicine so that we do not rely heavily on importing? We need to create our own technology to generate our own medicine. Number 3 is education. Our education system is still very young. Currently in Kenya, we are changing the education system. It means that we have not yet realized that system that is impactful to our children. Realize that many graduates are still tamarking to find jobs. What should we do in order to use mathematics, science, and technology to revolutionize education, such that education is not a process of just passing exams, but using that education to bring solutions to problems. Number 4 is industries. Currently, we are being faced with a very huge percentage of unemployment, but our governments have not realized that manufacturing, processing, and all those industries are the key to solving the unemployment problem, and therefore we need to use mathematics, science, and technology to revolutionize our industries and factories so that we can create more jobs for our people. And also housing. When you go there in northeastern parts or those places where marginalized, you realize people are still living in temporary houses. When you go to slums, people are still living in very poor housing facilities. And in the government, we have one of the big 4 agenda is affordable housing. How is this mathematics, science, and technology? How will it apply? Should we use this technology to develop better housing, which are affordable and which are not imported, or which technology is not imported, but we generate our own solution through our own understanding or through our own technology. Infrastructure, roads, railways, constructions, houses, all those. We need to use mathematics, science, and technology are inevitable. They should be taught as priority in all schools, in all system, in the whole academic system, so that we can be able to bring change to this problem and many more. What is the importance of studying mathematics and science? Number 1, we need the two, that is mathematics and science, to revolutionize our economy, as I have said before. It is estimated that Africa has 30% of world's untapped resources. If this has a link to Al Jazeera, which if it was possible to open, I could have opened. But 30% of world's untapped mineral resources. And if you can just Google, the richest country in terms of mineral deposits is DRC Congo. But the poorest in terms of GDP and poverty index is DRC. It brings up the sense that it is not the lack of resources. It is maybe lack of that science. The education system have not brought that science to help its citizens, to help the citizens of DRC or Africans to use those minerals, because they are just lying there. That's why the other foreign countries are scrambling for our continent to trap these resources, because they are just lying there. Look at the other day, our government opened the Tullow oil there in Turkana. Why is it there that there are no elites in our country who cannot do the mining? It's not only that the government in its own self, it does not trust its own citizen, or the citizens do not have that capacity to do that. And therefore my desire is to create, to open your mind and to show you that you have that capacity. You can do it. It's not a must to import technology from China. It's not a must to import technology from Europe or Japan or USA. We can do it on ourselves. Number 2 is to identify solution to our problems through the creation of technology, and that is innovations. When you understand mathematics and science, those are the basics of finding solutions to our day-to-day problems, and therefore they are very much important. Number 3 is jobs. In mathematics and science go hand in hand to create to bring in technology, so that through the identifying of solution to problems, you become entrepreneurs. You create, through entrepreneurship, you create employment, and therefore you create jobs for the people. And also, on the other hand, jobs also, the two are key, very much important when it comes to meriting for job, for employers. The employers really look at these two very much, because they inform the knowledge you have in the problems they want you as their employee to solve. Therefore, science and mathematics are very much important. Math is fun, science is fun. When you are doing that physics, that chemistry, when you draw that equation, you really feel fun. Yeah, it is enjoyable. What is the process of solving a problem? Yeah, in my discussion, I've been telling you that mathematics, science, and technology is all about solving problems. What is this process? Number 1 is problem identification. In order to solve a problem, you must identify that problem. You understand, what do I want? What is this need? What is the need? And when you get to understand that need, then you go to the next, that is to study that problem. You will do a very thorough study in that problem to understand the basics or the fundamentals surrounding that problem. Yeah, when you get enough understanding of the problem, then you look for some solutions, possible solution which may be maybe there. Yeah, you look whether they are certain, how other people have tried to solve that problem. In that, maybe you can get some how the other people have tried to solve it, and you can choose better technology which may be there. And if you don't find one, or if the solutions which you got are not very much pleasing, then you go to the next. You go back to science. You have to do much more study. If you're not satisfied with the solution, or you did not get the solution, you go back to the study. You study it more better. Maybe you try to look at other ways of solving that problem, and in that you may get your own solution. When you develop your own solution, then you identify a method of doing it, and that is mathematics. When you are trying to calculate or to draw the logic of solving a problem, that you are doing mathematics. And when you have devised the best formula, then you get a solution. And then you devise a method to do that problem, that is a solution. And when that solution, if that solution is not much satisfying, you go back to study again to get a better understanding of the problem, and to get a simpler solution. And all that surrounding is engineering process, and in that process is the process of creating technology. And the solution is called innovation. And that is how problems are solved. Well, why mathematics and science? Some students get it hard to understand this, even studying this. They got a lot of problems in studying this one. But I take this as the the major reasons. Number 1 is perception, mindset, or rather environment. How you have been brought up. You've been brought up in a society which hates mathematics. You have been brought up in a society that fears science. You have been brought up in a society that believes in so much in supernatural, such that to go to science finds very hard. and rather you believe that science is magic or science is something unpleasant. Through that perception or mindset, if you don't have an interest in something, you cannot be, definitely you won't be able to succeed in it. Number 2 is using theoretical approach rather than practical in teaching. And you understand that in many schools, they don't have, because of they don't have enough resources, they major too much on theoretical part, but they do not teach students much to do with practical. And especially science is very much practical, and therefore if you do not do enough practical, you will not be able even to apply the knowledge you get. You will end up cramming things, but later in future you will keep asking yourself, why was I studying these things? Yeah? But if you are taken through a very practical approach, you could be using that knowledge to do some things, especially this time when we are facing this COVID-19 pandemic. People are very much idle. I believe if you had practical skills, you could be doing a better thing, or you could be engaging your society in a better way. Number 3, ignoring theoretical concepts when learning. Yeah, especially that applies very much in mathematics. Students of mathematics just like taking a formula and applying it. They don't go in deep in understanding the concepts of that formula. They don't go deep into understanding the concepts of that let me say formula. But when you go to that approach, you find that you'll be only doing it for passing exam. And therefore, understanding even applying it becomes very much difficult. And therefore, it is important to understand not only practical part, but that apply much in mathematics. Do not just understand the formula or the practical part, but understand the real theory behind that formula. Number 4 is poor study methods, such as cramming and reading to pass exam. And in high school back then, I used to say that after exam, you go and delete everything in your mind. You have done with that knowledge, because in most cases you are cramming. But it is important to devise a better method that will help you understand, not only save knowledge in mind, but understand how that works, so that you may apply it in the future. Well, mathematics and science are the easiest subjects to me and to you, and I want today to make it easier to you, to make you understand why mathematics and science are the easiest subjects. Number 1, mathematics is hands-on, something you do. Mathematics is something you do. Yeah, you can do it practically. You don't have to use bulks of memory. Yeah, you don't have to save to read broadly. Yeah, like we cannot compare mathematics and science with humanity subjects, for example, which you need to read abroad and you understand things. But mathematics and science, you do it practical, and it depends on practice. Yeah, something you practice and it gets in your mind. Yeah, and you go. Number 3, mathematics and science are based on facts. They are not based on arguments, too much on arguments or speculations or claims, but facts. It is something that you can prove. Yeah, you can prove easily without the need to use so much, to do so much speculations. Yeah, some things, even for example in humanities, you cannot prove, because you cannot prove if something that is stated in history really did happen. It's just a belief. You believe it just happened. You just believe it happened. But when you are told to prove that it happened, I know it becomes very much difficult. But mathematics and science is something you prove. Yeah, you can prove using facts. Number 3, mathematics and science are you can easily predict results. When you are doing mathematics and you can easily predict the results. When you're doing in that exam room, after doing your exam, you can just prove using the facts in point 2 there. Mathematics and science are easily applicable. You can apply mathematics and science in any field easily. Yeah, because if you want to solve a given problem, for example, if you are told to measure something, it is definitely you will go through mathematics. It's something you can unpick and apply in the real life. Well, what should we do in order to pass mathematics and science? I will take you through the process how I used to do it in high school, and even how I'm doing it still there in campus. Number 1 is change perception. When I realized that I was not doing well in biology back then, I realized that I had certain beliefs that biology is a hard subject. I am not for biology. I don't want to do medicine. But because when I realized that biology is there in my papers and I would have to take that paper, I changed the perception and I started to do well, and I assure you that I did well. Number 2, love your teacher. Many people hate their teachers, maybe because they are harsh, maybe because their personalities, but just love your teacher. Ask your teacher questions. Don't fear your teacher. Number 3, devise an effective study method and plan. Many people do not know how to study and do not have an effective methods to study, or do not make effective plans in the revision. When you have that effective method, I will give you mine, which I used and which I am still using, and it is really much effective. If you apply it, it can work on for you. Number 4, ask questions. When you have you must be very inquisitive. Ask question, and when you ask, there are many things. It's not just asking your teachers or your classmates question. Ask books also. Ask Google. Ask Google questions. You have actually, that is a teacher you have there at home, but because of one problem, maybe one reason or the other, you do not have time to ask Google questions. School questions. Ask Google questions. It's not a must you go to that teacher whom you fear, or that classmate who looks you with bad eyes. Please be inquisitive. Practice makes perfect. When you do it again and again, it sticks in your mind, and you will probably never forget. Many forget because when they are done with their papers, they don't want to go back to that, and then they end up forgetting anything. Apply in related areas. When you study when you study a subject, a topic, try to see how it is related to the other topics. And also try to relate your knowledge in real life situation. When you will be able to relate in real life situation, you will understand that even when it comes to an exam, when you are asked a question, you will try to find that try to relate it in something that you know better. How you tackle a problem at home, how you tackle a problem outside the class. When you relate it in that way, you'll be able to understand it very well. give you some fundamentals, effective study methods for mathematics and science. This is what I do, I myself. Number one, when I want to I go to my room there to do revision, I identify a topic or a subtopic which I want to study that night. Yeah, that's that night to exam. Yeah, you identify that topic and or a subject topic. Then number two, you use an effective study method. Yeah? You carry out a systematic study of that topic, and the most used systematic study method is SQ3R. This is the most used method and the most recommended in schools. Where you do a survey. In survey, you try to get to know how much you know about the topic. Then you question. In your survey, you will understand there are areas which you don't understand. You question. You question yourself. What is this? What is this? What is this? Then after you get those questions, you highlight those questions. Then you go read about those questions. And then the process of reading those questions, you recite the solutions you get or the answers you get. Then do a review. Do it again and again. Yeah, and then you can repeat that to get a better understanding of the same. Then after that, you relate with other fields of knowledge. If it was a subject about area, then you try to see how area is related to length. You try to see how area is related to volume. You try to see how area is related to other areas, to other fields. And after you do that, you try to relate. Then this you can do it outside the class, where you try to relate it in real life, to apply that knowledge in real life. And this part is very much important, and it's very much ignored. When relating knowledge in real life, that is where innovations come from. When you try to relate knowledge in real life, that's where you try to use that knowledge you get to solve some problems around you. That's how you apply your knowledge in real life, and that's where you get to understand the basics, the dynamics of life, and how your life problems are solved. Do it again and again. I said practice makes perfect. As we wrap up, please take mathematics and science seriously, especially if you want to take engineering, medicine, or economic courses, related courses in university. Yeah, mathematics and science are very much in the science subjects. This, in simple terms, I'm talking about physics, chemistry, and biology. Yeah, and something to do with agriculture. Even agriculture is a science. Start living science and mathematics. Every day when you see a problem there, try to see how you can solve that problem using the knowledge you already have. Don't try just in that way of thinking. That's how we are going to change the mindset and realize that really we can solve our problems on our own. We don't have to really much to rely on importing technology. We have imported for so long. Why can't we try to generate our own technologies? Yeah, and I appreciate the government for introducing TVET school, because they are doing very much great in terms of trying to develop technology to solve our problems. Number 3, I always try to apply the knowledge you learn in real life situations that I've said. With this, you'll easily be able to identify problems and begin early to design innovations. If you want to become an engineer, engineering is about solving problems. So starting to solve those problems as early as when you're in high school. Yeah. And also participate in science fairs. Yeah, very much important. prepare to create jobs through entrepreneurship and innovations. That's very much important when it comes to science fairs and projects, rather than preparing to scramble for already sparse jobs in the market. If you are preparing to get employed, if you are learning to get employed, you are learning to go to become a slave. If you are preparing if you are preparing to secure a job somewhere, you are preparing to become a slave. Who wants to become a slave? No one. So please, let us be entrepreneurs. Let us create jobs for the other people. Let us create jobs for other people. And with this, we will be in a better place to change our story. An insight here: if you are a class of 50 people, maybe you are a class of 50 people, if 10 becomes entrepreneurs and creates businesses, those businesses are enough to employ at least 4 people, just 4 people, just 4. You really understand that the whole of that class is assured of a job after school. Can you try to think in that perspective and understand how easy it is to deal with unemployment in our continent, to deal with poverty in our continent? It will take us time, but it's my belief that we are gonna make it. As I wind up, please share, as usual, invite friends and relatives to join my class, and thank you very much. I am very much appreciative. Bye bye. Let's get in touch next time.